Hello and welcome back to This Day in History. It is September 9th, 2024, and as you know, it's not about the year, it is about the magic of the day. And today we've had some pretty amazing stuff, and we'll also talk about the death of an icon in a little bit. So let's get into it. September 9th, the very first birthday we have is it's 1754. William Bligh, he was the English admiral the HMS Bounty, and if you're familiar with the HMS Bounty, you'll know that there was a major mutiny that happened on that ship where Admiral Bligh and a bunch of crew that were loyal to him, I think there was about 27 of them, I can't remember the exact number, but they were all marooned, and that was, believe that was near Botany Bay, what is now Botany Bay. On a side note, in Star Trek, the original TV series, and then later revisited in The Wrath of Khan, Khan and his dissidents were marooned on a planet called Ceti Alpha 6, and they were put on a shuttle that was taken down there, and the name of the shuttle was called the Botany Bay. So there was a little bit of they used a little bit of historical reference for the filming of that episode of the TV series, and then later the second Star Trek movie that revisited that particular episode. 1941, we see the birth of Otis Redding. He was an American singer, songwriter. He was the guy who did Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. Great song, one of my favorites. He was a really good singer and really good songwriter there. 1960, Hugh Grant, British actor, he was born. You would know him. He's kind of a British comedic actor. He had a relationship with Elizabeth Hurley years ago until he was caught hooking up with a prostitute, and then that effectively ended their relationship. Why anyone would want to screw around on Elizabeth Hurley is beyond me, because she is beyond gorgeous. She's radiant. She's beautiful. 1966, we see the birth of Adam Sandler, American comedian, actor. I think he's done some directing and producing as well. Wow, this is a day for entertainers. Really, it was a day for entertainers. Wow. 1967, Akshay Kumar is an Indian actor, born on this day, 1967. Michael, pronounces his name as Bublé. Looks like Bubble to me. He's a Canadian singer. He was born in 1975. Ha! I'm still older than you. Michelle Williams is an American actress. She was born on this day in 1980, so happy birthday to all of you. The year is 1087. English King William I, otherwise known as William the Conqueror, he died from injury sustained while attempting to capture Mantus. He was later buried at the St. Stephen's Church. 1861, Sally Louisa Tompkins. She was commissioned with as a cavalry captain. She was the only woman to ever have been commissioned in the Confederate Army. We're talking the U.S. Civil War here. 1919, the Boston police strike began after the city denied the police the right to unionize. So they struck in. They went on strike anyway. Which is interesting. I have an aversion to unions anyway. I don't get the concept of them. They have their place. They are responsible for why we have the 40-hour work week, why we have vacation time, why we have sick time, why we have medical leave, and all the good things that it's nice to have as a worker here in the United States. But they've outlived their usefulness, and I don't think they're very useful at all. I think that they just, they take the workers' money and do nothing for it. I mean, sure, they're union representatives, but and then you have, so like, I live in Oregon. Oregon is an at-will state, and at-will is defined as employer and or employee can terminate employment at any time for any reason. With that said, what's the point of having a union in a state like Oregon? That doesn't make any sense to me. And I think unions are bad, especially when you're just, no good can come from unions being involved in government and government jobs. I don't think they should exist in government jobs. Police are union, fire is union, postal workers are union. Basically any government job that you have, union. And it's, I just don't like the way that unions control the labor of the government. I think there's a conflict of interest there, but that's just me. And and here's the thing is, like, it's actually illegal for, like, first responders, for instance, police and fire, right? It's actually illegal for them to strike. They can't strike. They if their contract is up and they're working out of contract, by law they have to work out of contract because they're public safety, right? And this is why I think that unions they have no place in government. Because by law, cops and firefighters cannot strike. It is a detriment to society. It is a danger to the public at large. So why do unions exist? I don't know. I'm just getting on a tangent. I'm sorry. But 1948, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, which is the North, they proclaimed themselves as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It set the stage for the Korean War. So the North basically said, hey, we're this democratic republic. You're a communist regime. And the South was like, no, we're Korea. And, so there was a divide there. That divide was at the 39th parallel. Or 38th parallel. Somewhere in there. I think it's 38th. Which happens to be, that parallel runs right through Salem, Oregon. Side note there. So they declare that they exist as an entity, and that's what kind of set the stage for the Korean War. 1956, Elvis Presley made his first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show. 1990, American tennis player Pete Sampras would beat Andre Agassi, who was one of my favorites. I liked Agassi. He was a good tennis player. In the U.S. Open, and he captured the first of 14 Grand Slam titles that he would win. Sampras, that is. 1998, Special Prosecutor Ken Starr is sent to Congress to investigate the Clintons, specifically Bill Clinton. The problem there is that he was originally sent to investigate Bill Clinton in the whole Whitewater scandal. When they found nothing in the Whitewater, mostly because people who could have been smoking gun mysteriously die, suicided, what have you. He continues the investigation, even though he exceeded his mandate. So he blew like $40 million to go after Clinton, and the only thing that he ever could go after him for was his inappropriate relationships with women. People like Jennifer Flowers came forward, Monica Lewinsky, the whole blue dress and all that. Basically, it was a political witch hunt. The problem is that Ken Starr got a cush job being named as a special prosecutor, which meant he was paid by the government, or, he was paid by a third party through the government to go after President Clinton. The problem is that he had been hounding Clinton ever since he was governor of Arkansas. I believe that there was a conflict of interest in there, and his personal zealotry about wanting to get at Clinton cost the taxpayers over $40 million in what I think was just a useless, senseless investigation. It's one of very few times that I actually defend Clinton, because the reality is that Did him having affairs really hinder his ability to do his job? Well, that's debatable. Some people would say yes. I don't know about that. I don't think he was a good president to begin with anyway. So, but he wasn't the worst president. So, while I don't think the question should have been asked, the fact that he was asked the question, are you having these affairs? Or did you have this affair with Monica Lewinsky? And he lied about it under oath. That's where I take offense to that. You know, when you go lying to Congress, that's a impeachable offense, which is what they did bring up impeachment charges against him because of that. He beat them because he rolled out that program to balance the budget, which he said the budget would be balanced in 7 years if they implemented it. Keyword there, he said if we implement it, and he never implemented it. So people think that he saved our economy, and then Bush screwed it up. No, he didn't. He never implemented it in the first place. So, yeah. That was Ken Starr. I think he was a joke. The whole thing was a joke. 2015, Elizabeth II became the longest reigning monarch in British history. She surpassed Victoria's record of 63 years, 206 days. Because it was at that point, it was on this day in 2015 when she went beyond Victoria's record. 1901, we're going back to featured events. 1901, the French artist Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, he died at the age of 36 in Malraux, France. 1976, Chinese Communist leader Mao Zedong died at the age of 82. And Mao Zedong, he was he fought the Japanese during World War II, and then became a leader in China, and then eventually he became the Chairman Mao. He became, when China went communist, he became their leader. In 1976, he would die at the age of 82. Not a good guy, but not a bad guy. I mean, obviously I don't support communism, but he did fight for his people during World War II. So that's pretty important. And in sad news for today, September 9th, 2024, we say goodbye to an American icon. Being a Star Wars fan that I am, I'm saddened by the death of James Earl Jones, who passed away today. He was 93 years old. He had a good long life. He'd done a lot of, he wasn't just the voice of Darth Vader. He was the voice of Mustafa, Simba's dad in Lion King. He was Admiral Greer in the Tom Clancy movies that Harrison Ford was in. He was in Best of the Best, which was basically a Taekwondo tournament movie. He was in a lot of stuff throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s. The interesting thing about him is that he was from Mississippi, and he was a stutterer. And how he got into becoming this great iconic voice is that he had a teacher who understood that he had talent, right? And he was naturally gifted with poetry, and so she made him go recite his poem in front of the class, and he managed to do it without stuttering because he had learned the lines. Well, that got him into theater acting in high school, college, what have you. And realistically, it's between having to stand up in front of his class and reciting this poetry and theater is what cured him of his stuttering, which I think is just so amazingly cool. He was an icon, to say the least. He was a phenomenal actor. I loved his work. So, James Earl Jones. Oh yeah, he was also in Coming to America, I believe. He was, yes, he was also a Thulsa Doom in he was the baddie in Conan, Conan the Destroyer. No, Conan the Barbarian, rather. But he was also in Coming to America with Eddie Murphy, where he played Eddie Murphy's dad, who was the king of whatever country, some fictitious country they were. But he was an American icon, and hats off to you, sir. You will be missed, and may you rest in peace. And with that, that does it for today, for September 9th. We'll do this again tomorrow for September 10th, which is also a special day. My kid brother's birthday. So take care, be well, be blessed.